What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode of the Second of Strength podcast. Wherever you're at, I'm grateful you're here. Grateful you're listening. Man, it's been a good week. I've spent a little bit of time in Ohio, Coldwater, Ohio. If you are a new listener and from Ohio, after I went and spoke up there, welcome. It's great to have you. This is the Second of Strength podcast, where we give you the tips, tools, all the things you need to really step into your potential, become the best version of you. And whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult, it doesn't really matter who you are. We all have the opportunity to grow, become better than we are today, and we can set these visions for our life and move forward. And so anyway, but I spoke at a school up in Coldwater, Ohio. And if you don't know, I speak in schools. I speak all over the place. Any event, you just have to reach out. If you go to my website, www.onesecondofstrength.com/speaking, you can fill out a form right there, and we'll come and we'll figure out how to get to where you're at, help y'all where you're at. So I'll also put that in the show notes just so you have it. But man, I'm grateful to be here today. Today I'm thinking a lot about what is really holding us back. What is really keeping us from our potential, from our destiny, from this, like, these visions, these dreams, these things that we want to accomplish in our life. What is really holding us back? And there's one word that just keeps coming to mind, and I think it's a word that too many of us aren't really paying attention to, but it is negatively impacting. And honestly, it's kind of like that, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of that thorn in your foot that is probably keeping you from really accelerating your growth and where you want to get to and what you want to accomplish in your life. And whether, it doesn't matter what age you're at. If you're a teenager, if you are a parent, if you are a business owner, entrepreneur, if you are climbing a corporate ladder, if you're just trying to figure things out, like, it's this one word that is keeping you stuck. And the word is avoidance. I think that too many of us are avoiding things in our life because it's difficult, because it's challenging, because it's not fun. I think a lot of us are kind of avoiding things in our lives, and it's keeping us where we're at, and it's not allowing us to grow. And I'll give you, something that happened to me a long time ago. When I was little, I was playing baseball. I got hit with a pitch. I was about 11 years old, standing up to bat. The pitcher, he was one of the fastest pitchers in the league. He threw this pitch, and it hit me square in the ankle. It hurt really, really, really bad. So, but like you do, I rubbed some dirt on it. I hobbled down to first base, and, second base, I probably scored. I don't really know, but it hurt. It hurt really bad. And what I didn't tell my parents at the time is that not only did it hurt for a little while, it hurt for a long while. It continued to hurt. It continued to hurt. And what we found out is that I had a fracture. I had a small fracture in my ankle that we never treated. It healed on its own, but along with the healing, it created a calcium deposit that later I had to have surgically removed, and even to this day, it's not great. And there's still times where I'm restricted in my movement, a little bit pain. Like, it's always had this recurring issue. And the reason I've had this recurring issue in my life is because I avoided something that felt difficult in the moment. I didn't talk about it. I didn't bring it to the light. And because of that, because of keeping the pains, the struggles, the things that I had back then in the dark, it created different challenges in my life. It made it so the other sports that I played were more difficult. It made it so later on in life, I gave myself an excuse and I gave myself an out because my ankle wasn't right. I stopped skiing. I stopped snowboarding. I just said it hurt. Years later, I was serving a mission for a service mission for my church, and I almost quit because of the long days of walking, because at 11 years old, I decided not to have my ankle looked at. And so the question for you is what is it in your life right now that you're avoiding? What is the one thing that you are putting off? You keep shoving it to the side. You keep hiding it under the rug. You keep putting off something in your life. And I know it's there because everybody avoids something. Hard conversations, difficult challenges. There are things that we're avoiding. But here's what happens. There is a compound effect of inaction when we avoid. And what we're doing is basically we are giving ourselves a way out and not a way through. And so if you think about that and you go, if you are avoiding something in your life, then what you're doing is you are actually giving yourself permission to avoid other areas of your life. And that's a pretty dangerous precedent to set for your growth and your potential. And you think about that, right? And you think about, if today you should work out and you avoid it because you don't want to, you give yourself that excuse. Maybe it is, that tough conversation with a friend, a child, a colleague. But the more you put those things off, the harder it gets, the more it festers, the more we start to project thoughts of, of negativity towards the situation. If it's a tough conversation you're afraid to have, and now you're projecting thoughts of, well, now I can't have that conversation because, they're going to think this of me, or they're going to think that of me. But the danger of it, the danger of all of this, if you are avoiding, and if there is a compound effect of inaction because of avoidance, then what you're actually doing is you are forming parts of your identity. And that's where it gets really dangerous and really scary. And so you think about that, right? If you are the person who has been avoiding a challenge, well, now you're starting to identify yourself with this message that says, I'm the kind of person who backs out or avoids challenges. You are starting to become that person. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a person who confronts others. I'm not a person who likes to have tough conversations. I'm not athletic. I'm not good with money. I'm not. And every one of those statements comes because in a moment of choice, you chose to avoid instead of act. And we've got to be a little bit better at that, because what I believe, and if you're here, you've heard the 1 second of strength. If you haven't, your 1 second of strength is the ability to choose. In a moment, you have a choice between two things. And your 1 second of strength is that moment to pause and choose the response that is going to help you grow and become the person you want to become. And too many people in that moment are choosing avoidance instead of choosing action. And when you do that, you start to form an identity of inaction and form an identity of the thing that you're avoiding. And you start to say, I am not a person who does X, Y, Z. And there's really a lot of danger in that, because life is about growth. Life is about pursuing dreams and overcoming. And, there's certainly going to be things in life that you don't want to be, and you don't want to be that person. But are you ingraining in your brain a negative story about yourself because you're avoiding action instead of just doing it? And so today, what I would recommend is, what is that thing that you're avoiding in your life? What is the thing that you have been putting off and putting off? The tough conversation, the work, the exercise, the thing that is going to help you take that next step forward in your life. What is the thing you're avoiding? I want you to think about it for a minute. Write down what that thing is you've been avoiding. And then I want you to make a choice right now that you are not going to avoid it any longer. And you might be afraid of the outcome. I've been avoiding this because I'm too afraid of what's going to happen. Well, the reality is that you don't know what's going to happen. But I would always rather take action and know what is going to happen so I can react again, instead of just imagining that something bad could possibly maybe happen. I'd rather take the action and know, instead of fearing the unknown and never, rising to the challenge of my life because I don't know what's going to happen. And so today, let's change the narrative. Let's change the story you've been telling about yourself. If you've been saying, I'm not a morning person, I'm not athletic, I'm not a person that has tough conversations, that's a story that you've told yourself. It's time to tell yourself a new story. It's time to change the narrative in your life, because a choice chosen eliminates fear and anxiety. A choice chosen does so much more for your future than avoiding it could ever do. And I think that a lot of times we start to live in the past and we start to live with the choices we've made before. But the reality is it doesn't matter what you chose before. It matters what you choose to do now. You might have been avoiding. You might have been a person who lived a certain way or did a certain thing. And that is the story that has been there. And it's time to write it in a story. And it's time to choose a different choice that is going to serve you for the rest of your life instead of keeping you tied to your past life. Let's make a new choice. Let's do something different. And what's the greatest news I can tell you is that new choice is completely within your control. Scary? Yeah, maybe. Difficult? Probably. Doable? 100%. You are the person who gets to do it. You are the person who can overcome. You are the person who can, step into difficult challenges and overcome them. And if you look back, there are breadcrumbs of your life that you've done it all along, but you might have started telling yourself a story that maybe doesn't fit with the rest of your life. So today, let's change the narrative. Today, make a new choice. Today, do something different. And I promise when you do that, the world is going to open up for you because you start to rewrite and you start to now become a different person, a person who does hard things, a person who does difficult things, a person who rises to the challenges. And that version of you, I can't wait for you to meet. So I hope this helps you today. As always, please leave a rating and review of the show. It just takes a couple of seconds, but it helps me a ton. And so if anything I've ever shared with you has helped you, just help me out. Leave a rating and review. You can also share this with one other person. The more people who listen to this, whether it's teenager, whether it's parent, whether you are an adult, entrepreneur, it doesn't matter who you are. The more people that listen, the more people we can help, the more lives we can change. And so maybe let's stop avoiding leaving rating and reviews, and let's stop avoiding sharing it. Find your 1 second of strength and do that. But I appreciate you wherever you're at. I'm grateful you're here. If you're a new listener, thank you for coming. If you're a listener who's been around for a while, I just appreciate you being in my life and letting me be a part of yours. And I'll leave you the same way I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.